leave, all right? I'm a man, Gina. I'm a be all right. This is childish. I want you out. I don't even know why you're still here. Step! Step!
Martin wasn't just a sitcom. It was chaos barely contained by cameras, a star who rewrote everything on set, and a conflict so toxic they had to film the leads separately. Characters were born from a tight budget. One catchphrase was never scripted. And the real reason it ended, that's still buried under NDAs. These are 20 weird facts about Martin. And the bonus? A deleted scene so offensive, Fox locked it in a vault and pretended it never existed. Get to steppin'. This gets messy. Number 20. Martin Lawrence created every character to avoid paying guest stars.
What do you want, Shanae?
Oh, my God.
There, go.
There it is.
All
There,
right,
found right there. That's where I want to see it.
Okay, Shanae.
Let me kick that key. Yeah.
Shenana Jenkins, Jerome, Otis the security guard, Dragonfly Jones, Bob from marketing, all those characters weren't part of the original plan. Martin Lawrence created them out of necessity and spite. The show's budget was tight from the beginning. Fox gave them enough money to film a sitcom, but not enough for the constant parade of guest stars that other shows relied on. Every time the writers pitched a storyline that required bringing in outside talent, the network pushed back on costs. Martin got tired of hearing no. So, he made a decision that changed everything. If the show needed characters, he'd play them himself. It started small. An episode needed a sassy beauty shop owner. Instead of casting someone, Martin threw on a dress, added a wig, and became Shanae. The audience lost their minds. The character was funnier than anything a guest actress could have done, and it cost nothing extra except makeup and wardrobe. Network executives watched the numbers and realized Martin had accidentally solved their budget problem, so they encouraged more characters. Martin obliged, creating an entire universe of personalities. Jerome, the player with the gold tooth. Otis, who protected the building with military precision. Dragonfly Jones, who couldn't fight but talked like a champion. Each character served the story and saved money. But more than that, Martin created them because he didn't want to share screen time. He was possessive of his show, protective of his spotlight. Why give a funny scene to a guest star when he could do it better himself? The characters became iconic, quotable, beloved, and Martin never had to split the check. Number 19. The show was rejected by every network before Fox took a chance.
Come on, Martin!
Martin Lawrence walked into pitch meetings at NBC, CBS, and ABC with confidence. He'd killed on Def Comedy Jam, had a growing stand-up career, knew he was funny. The networks didn't see it. NBC executives sat through his pitch about a Detroit DJ and his girlfriend navigating life, love, and friendship. They said no immediately. Too urban, too specific. Wouldn't play in Middle America. CBS heard the same pitch and had the same response. They were polite but firm. The humor was too niche, too black. Wouldn't connect with their established audience. ABC didn't even take a full meeting. Martin was furious and confused. He'd just watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air become a hit, watched. In living color, dominate, seen proof that black shows could succeed. But the big three networks didn't want him. They wanted safe, tested, proven. Martin was loud, unpredictable, raw. Then Fox called. Not because they loved the pitch, but because they were desperate. Fox was still the new kid trying to compete with established networks. They'd found success with black programming. The Simpsons and In Living Color gave them credibility with younger audiences. They needed more. Fox executives took the meeting, heard the pitch, and saw potential. Not because they understood the humor, but because they understood the demographics. Young black audiences were tuning in, and Martin could deliver them. They greenlit the show with a limited budget and low expectations. Just another experiment. If it failed, they'd cancel it quietly. If it succeeded, they'd look like geniuses. Nobody, not even Fox, knew they were greenlighting a cultural phenomenon that would define 90s black comedy. Number 18. Tisha Campbell. was the third choice for Gina.
Hey, Dragonfly.
Gina Waters almost had a completely different face. The network wanted someone established, someone with proven sitcom chops who could handle Martin's energy without getting swallowed by it. They offered the role to two other actresses first. Both had more credits, more experience, more of what executives thought they needed. The first actress read the script and passed. She didn't want to play girlfriend to an unknown comedian, thought the role was underwritten. The second actress tested with Martin, and there was nothing. No chemistry, no spark, just two people reading lines at each other. The producers knew it wouldn't work. Then Tisha Campbell walked in. She'd done Little Shop of Horrors, had musical theater training, could sing and dance and act. But she'd never carried a sitcom, never been a lead romantic interest. The network wasn't sure, Martin wasn't sure either. Then they did a chemistry read, a simple scene where Gina teases Martin about something stupid. Campbell didn't just read the lines. She improvised, pushed back, matched his energy with her own. She wasn't intimidated by his loudness. She met it, challenged it, made it funnier. Martin laughed genuinely during the audition. The producers saw something click. Campbell had this ability to ground Martin's chaos, to be the straight woman while still being funny herself. She could roll her eyes at his nonsense, but make you believe she loved him anyway. The network still hesitated, worried about her lack of sitcom experience. But Martin pushed for her. He said if they wanted the show to work, they needed someone who could stand up to him without wilting. Campbell got the job and became irreplaceable. Number 17. Thomas Michael Ford wasn't supposed to be a regular.
Hey, my brother, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Brother Shabazz.
What's up, boss?
You see, the main.
That's because you was the only one that can fit under the 1-inch bar, right?
Watch it, baby. Should have known it was you, Pam.
Tommy Strawn was written as a throwaway character. One scene in the pilot, maybe a callback in a later episode, but nothing permanent. The writers needed a third friend to round out Martin's crew, someone to react to his crazy ideas. Thomas Michael Ford came into audition, read his lines, and that should have been it. But something unexpected happened on set. Ford's reactions to Martin's improvisation were perfect. Not forced, not trying too hard, just genuinely confused and amused by the chaos happening around him. During rehearsals, Ford would make small comments, little asides that made the cast and crew crack up. Martin noticed immediately. He liked Ford's energy, appreciated that he wasn't trying to upstage anyone. Ford understood his role was to be the straight man, the voice of reason that nobody listened to. After the pilot filmed, Martin went to the producers with a request: make Tommy a regular, expand his role. The network pushed back initially, worried about budget and whether the character had enough to do. But as they watched the pilot footage, they realized Ford brought something important: balance. The show needed someone other than Gina to ground Martin's insanity. Cole was too goofy, Pam was too combative, Tommy was the everyman, the friend who showed up and quietly judged, but stayed loyal anyway. Ford's dry delivery became essential to the show's rhythm. They rewrote the entire series to make Tommy a main character, gave him storylines, developed his mysterious unemployment into a running joke, and Ford never let them down, showing up consistently for 5 seasons to be the friend everyone needed. Number 16. The You So Crazy special got Martin banned from Saturday Night Live.
Hey, y'all, sorry I'm late.
Hi, Tommy.
Hey, baby. Just got off work. Tommy, off work. Yeah. Man, please, all right? Go ahead with all that junk.
In 1994, Martin Lawrence was at the peak of his powers. The sitcom was dominating ratings, his film career was taking off, and HBO offered him a stand-up special with complete creative freedom. No censors, no restrictions, just pure, unfiltered Martin. He called it You So Crazy and delivered 90 minutes of the raunchiest, most explicit comedy he'd ever performed. Raw jokes about intimacy, relationships, and everything Hollywood usually avoided. HBO aired it after midnight with warnings. It became legendary, quoted everywhere, but it also had consequences. Saturday Night Live had been in talks with Martin's team about a hosting gig. It made perfect sense. Hot comedian, successful show, perfect SNL demographic. Then NBC executives watched You So Crazy. They were horrified. The language, the content, the absolute lack of filter. It was everything broadcast television couldn't touch. They held emergency meetings about whether Martin could be trusted on live television. Could he follow standards and practices? Would he stay on script? What if he went off book during a live sketch? The decision came down from NBC's top executives. Martin Lawrence was officially banned from hosting Saturday Night Live. Not temporarily, permanently. They sent word through back channels, never made it public, but the message was clear. His comedy was too dangerous for their network. Martin was furious, but also proud. He'd rather be himself and get banned than water down his material for network approval. To this day, despite his massive success and cultural impact, Martin has never hosted SNL. And he's fine with that. Number 15. Martin and Tisha's on set. Conflict started in season 2.
Gina took one look at me and clap. She was in love.
Most important thing is you keep them calm, okay? So let's help her relax and everything will take care of itself.
Okay, well then, Tommy, you put on some Luther?
The story everyone knows is that Martin and Tisha Campbell's relationship fell apart in season 5, leading to the lawsuit and the show's cancellation. But people close to the production tell a different story. The tension started much earlier, during season 2, with small disagreements that festered and grew. At first, it was creative differences. Martin would improvise scenes, change blocking, rewrite dialogue on the spot. Tisha, trained in theater and used to structure, found it disrespectful and chaotic. She'd prepared her performance, memorized her lines, and Martin would throw it all out, mid-take. The arguments started quietly. Tisha would ask Martin to stick to the script. He'd tell her to relax, trust him, go with the flow. She felt disrespected. He felt controlled. By season 3, they were barely speaking off camera. Cast and crew noticed the change immediately. Between takes, Martin and Tisha would retreat to opposite sides of the set. They'd communicate through assistants or other cast members. The warmth from season 1, the genuine chemistry that made Gina and Martin believable, started requiring acting instead of happening naturally. Production covered it up well. On screen, they still seemed like a couple in love. But behind the scenes, the set was becoming toxic. Arguments escalated from creative to personal. Small slights became major offenses. By season 4, they had separate dressing rooms on opposite ends of the building. The cast tried to mediate, tried to keep peace, but the damage was accumulating. What started as professional tension became genuine animosity. And everyone on set knew it was only a matter of time before something broke completely. Number 14. Cole was based on Martin's real childhood friend.
I'm cool. I was just trying to walk it off. Cool. Yeah. Hey, Tommy, man, why don't you pass brother one of them tater skins?
We gonna win. You know we gonna win. Okay, fellas, show us what you got.
Cole Brown wasn't pulled from thin air. Martin Lawrence grew up with someone just like him in Maryland, a kid everyone thought was slow, who said things that sounded stupid but somehow made sense if you thought about them long enough. The real Cole wasn't his actual name, but the mannerisms, the confused expressions, the bizarre logic, all came from Martin's childhood. He'd tell stories about this friend during stand-up, do impressions that killed, and when it came time to create characters for the show, Cole was an obvious choice. But Martin needed the right actor, someone who could play dumb without making it mean-spirited. Carl Anthony Payne II auditioned without knowing the character's backstory. He just read the sides, played Cole as genuinely confused but well-meaning. After he got the part, Martin sat him down and told him stories about the real person, how he'd say something ridiculous and everyone would laugh. But then later, you'd realize he'd made a good point. How he was street smart in ways book smart people never understood. How he survived by being underestimated. Payne took those stories and built Cole into something more than a punchline. The character became beloved because he had depth. Yes, he said stupid things, but he was loyal, kind, and occasionally insightful. He'd confuse everyone with his logic, then do something surprisingly clever. Payne played him with such sincerity that you rooted for Cole even when he was being ridiculous, and Martin honored his childhood friend by making sure Cole was never just the butt of jokes. He was family, and family means something even when they make you shake your head. Number 13. The apartment set cost more than the entire pilot budget. When production designers started sketching Martin's apartment, they had a problem. The script described a Detroit bachelor pad, but Fox's budget was barely enough to build a basic sitcom set. Standard procedure would have been simple: beige walls, generic furniture, nothing memorable. But the designers had a different vision. They wanted the apartment to reflect Martin's personality: loud, colorful, chaotic, vibrant. They pitched a set with bold colors, weird angles, a layout that didn't make architectural sense but felt right for the character. Fox executives looked at the budget and said absolutely not. The set design alone was projected to cost more than the entire pilot episode's production budget. It was absurd, irresponsible, potentially career-ending for everyone involved. But the designers pushed back hard. They argued the apartment needed to be a character itself, instantly recognizable, a space audiences would remember. They showed mock-ups, convinced Martin to fight for it, and finally wore the network down. Fox approved the budget overrun with the understanding that if the show failed, heads would roll. The set got built exactly as designed. That iconic purple wall, the strange pillar in the middle of the living room, the kitchen layout that made no sense, the couch that became a cultural landmark, all of it cost a fortune. Fox executives were furious until the pilot aired and test audiences loved it. The apartment felt alive, felt real despite being completely artificial. It became one of the most recognizable sets in television history. People decorated their own apartments trying to recreate it. And Fox never complained about the cost again. Number 12. Damn Gina was never in the script.
Drawers on, okay? Just keep your drawers on. The store don't open up for another 2 minutes, all right?
Hey, look here, old man. It's my way. Is that what this is all about, Gina?
Yeah.
It ain't like that, Gina, okay? I was just doing that to get on Mr. Bozak's.
The catchphrase that defined Martin's relationship with Gina, that got shouted in clubs and quoted on playgrounds across America, wasn't written by anyone. It happened by accident during a rehearsal in season 1. Martin and Tisha were running through a scene where Gina shows up wearing something stunning. The script had Martin say a generic compliment, something forgettable. But during the run-through, Martin looked at Tisha, in her costume, and just said it. "Damn, Gina!" Not planned, not scripted, just a genuine reaction that slipped out. The studio audience lost their minds. Producers stopped the rehearsal because people were screaming, laughing, repeating it back. Tisha broke character and laughed. Martin realized he'd stumbled onto something. They kept it in the episode, and the response was immediate. Audiences loved it, started anticipating it, waiting for Martin to drop "Damn Gina" into scenes. So Martin started improvising it everywhere, finding moments to slip it in, whether the script called for it or not. Writers never formally added it to scripts. They learned to just leave space, knowing Martin would find opportunities. It became his signature, the phrase that summed up his appreciation for Gina while also being funny and slightly inappropriate. Tisha had mixed feelings about it. She loved that audiences responded, but sometimes felt reduced to just being the woman Martin said "damn" about. Still, she understood it was bigger than both of them. The phrase took on a life of its own, became part of Black culture's lexicon, lived beyond the show, all because Martin couldn't help himself during one rehearsal. Number 11. Garrett Morris was hired to balance Martin's youth.
Talk about this. Come on.
You're right, okay? Let me think, okay? We gotta get names, okay, baby? A crib. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be a daddy, that's right. Go tell somebody I'm gonna be a daddy.
Fox executives had serious concerns about Martin Lawrence. He was young, 27 when the show started, completely inexperienced in sitcoms, and unpredictable. They worried about his ability to carry a series, to show up consistently, to handle the pressure. So, they made a demand. cast an older, established black actor to balance Martin's inexperience and give the show credibility. Someone audiences already respected. Someone who could ground the chaos. The casting call went out for a father figure type, and Garrett Morris came in. Morris had legitimate credentials. Original Saturday Night Live cast member, decades of experience, respected in the industry. He auditioned for the role of Stan Winters, Martin's cranky neighbor, and brought exactly what Fox wanted: authority, timing, presence. But more importantly, Morris understood what the network was really asking him to do: be the adult in the room, keep Martin on track, provide stability when things got wild. Morris accepted the role knowing he'd be more than just a character. He'd be a mentor. On set, Morris became essential in ways nobody anticipated. When Martin wanted to improvise entire scenes, Morris would ground him, suggest structure. When Martin showed up late or unfocused, Morris would pull him aside and talk to him like a son. He never publicly criticized Martin, never went to producers with complaints. He just quietly guided, advised, kept things moving. The rest of the cast appreciated him immensely. Morris was the bridge between Martin's raw talent and professional television production. And he did it with patience, humor, and genuine care for Martin's success. Number 10. The show filmed in front of a live, or studio audience that got too rowdy.
You always over here. I mean, don't you have a bag?
Look, I don't have time.
Most sitcoms have studio audiences. Martin had events. From the first taping, producers realized they had a problem. The audience wasn't just laughing, they were screaming, dancing, rushing toward the stage. Martin's energy was contagious, and the predominantly black audiences who came to watch weren't interested in sitting quietly. They treated tapings like parties, like concerts, like church services where participation was expected. Production had to stop constantly because the noise drowned out dialogue. Martin would deliver a punchline, and the audience would erupt for 30 seconds straight, making the scene unusable. Security became a major expense. The show hired additional guards just to keep audience members in their seats. People would try to rush the stage during Cheninay scenes, wanting to dance with Martin in drag. Others would shout their own jokes, trying to get Martin's attention. Some episodes took twice as long to film as scheduled because of constant interruptions. Network executives watched the chaos and worried about costs, about liability, about control. But Martin loved it. He fed off that energy, encouraged it, would break character to interact with audience members between takes. The warm-up comedian had the hardest job in television. He wasn't warming up the crowd, he was trying to contain an explosion. Before each taping, he'd beg people to keep their reactions shorter, to let the actors finish scenes. It rarely worked. Martin's audience became legendary in Hollywood. Other shows wanted that energy but couldn't replicate it, because Martin wasn't just filming a sitcom, he was throwing a weekly party that happened to have cameras. Number 9. Fox censored over 50 episodes for syndication.
Yeah, see, we serve them soup for free. Rent them spoons.
Shoot. I walked in, Gina took one look at me, and clap, clap, clap.
The Martin that aired on Fox from 1992 to 1997 was significantly different from the Martin that plays in syndication. Fox censored heavily for daytime reruns, cutting jokes, entire scenes, and storylines deemed too sexual or controversial. Over 50 episodes were edited, some losing entire subplots. The original broadcasts pushed boundaries constantly. Sexual innuendo, adult situations, jokes about subjects sitcoms typically avoided. Fox let it slide during primetime because ratings were strong and the audience skewed young. But when the show went into syndication for daytime slots, standards changed dramatically. Entire Cheninay scenes got cut because the character was too sexual, too provocative for afternoon audiences. Jerome's player antics were softened or removed. References to sex, drugs, and adult situations disappeared. Some episodes lost up to 5 minutes of content, replaced with extended establishing shots or repeated scenes to fill time. Fans who grew up watching reruns after school have no idea what the original episodes actually contained. The syndicated version is sanitized, safer, less dangerous than what originally aired. Martin Nasa was furious when he found out. He felt the edits neutered his show, removed the edge that made it special, but Fox owned the content and made their own decisions about what could air when. The original uncut episodes exist somewhere in Fox's archives, but they've never been released on streaming or home video. The Martin most people know is a watered-down version of something that was once much wilder. And the real show, the one that made Martin a star, that version is locked away. Number 8. Martin Lawrence suffered a heat exhaustion collapse that nearly killed him.
You got change for $1?
You stop getting cheap and put it all in there. Go ahead, Cole.
It just reminded me of who I am.
And who are you, Martin?
I don't know, but he must be somebody real important because they made us.
In August 1996, during the filming of Season 5, Martin Lawrence collapsed on set. The official story said, exhaustion, dehydration, working too hard. The truth was much scarier. Martin had been working non-stop for months, filming the show while also shooting movies during hiatus. He was doing his own stunts, wearing heavy costumes for his multiple characters, pushing himself without breaks. That day, he was filming a Chenenet scene in full costume, wig, makeup, and padding under hot studio lights. The outfit trapped heat, and Martin had been shooting for hours without proper hydration. He collapsed mid-scene. Crew members thought he was doing a bit at first, then realized he wasn't moving. Paramedics were called immediately. Martin's body temperature was dangerously high, his heart rate erratic. They rushed him to the hospital, where doctors said he was in critical condition. He'd suffered severe heat exhaustion, bordering on heat stroke, and his organs were shutting down. He was hospitalized for 3 days, and doctors told him privately that he'd come very close to dying. Another 30 minutes without treatment, and he might not have made it. Fox covered it up hard. They released statements about exhaustion and working too hard. Nothing life-threatening. They didn't want audiences knowing their star nearly died on set. Production shut down for 2 weeks while Martin recovered. When he came back, mandatory breaks were instituted and cooling systems were added to the set. But the incident changed Martin. He was quieter, more withdrawn. Some cast members said he was never quite the same after that collapse. Number 7. Tichina Arnold's Pam was supposed to be written out after Season 1.
You should know not to use the word at the end of a sentence. Now, work that out, 5th grade education.
Yeah, whatever. Just put my woman on the phone, all
Not
right?
good enough. Oh, no. I need at least 4 weeks vacation on this one.
Martin.
Network executives hated Pam James from the beginning. They watched the pilot and couldn't understand her purpose. She was mean to Martin, constantly insulting him, picking fights. They didn't see the love underneath the antagonism, didn't understand that black friendships often include roasting and verbal sparring. To them, Pam was just an angry woman with no storyline, serving no purpose except to create conflict. After Season 1, they wanted her gone. They told producers to write Tichina Arnold out, focus on the core trio of Martin, Gina, and Cole, maybe develop Tommy more. Martin Lawrence fought back harder than he'd fought for anything else on the show. He told executives they fundamentally didn't understand what made the show work. Pam wasn't just comic relief or an antagonist. She was the truth teller, the one person who could check Martin without consequences, the friend who loved Gina enough to protect her from Martin's nonsense. The show needed that energy, that friction, that voice saying what everyone else was thinking. Without Pam, the show would be flat, safe, boring. Martin threatened to quit if they fired Arnold. Fox backed down, but reluctantly. They gave Arnold Season 2, but made it clear she needed to prove her value. Arnold came back determined to make Pam essential. She developed the character's backstory, found moments of vulnerability beneath the shade, made audiences understand Pam wasn't mean, she was protective. By Season 3, Pam was irreplaceable. Her chemistry with Martin became the show's secret weapon. Their arguments were as entertaining as any plotline, and Arnold never forgot that Martin saved her job. Number 6. The boxing episode sent 3 stuntmen to the hospital.
Hey, let's have a good fight.
How you doing?
What you
Got a lot of heart.
Gina?
Yes, baby, I'm here.
I don't want to think no more.
I know, baby. I know.
The episode where Martin fights legendary boxer Tommy Hearns should have been simple. Choreographed punches, camera tricks, stunt doubles for the dangerous shots. But Martin wanted it to look real, insisted on doing his own stunts. And things got out of control. They filmed the boxing scenes over 3 days in a real gym with real equipment. The first day went fine. Controlled punches, good angles, professional execution. The second day, Martin started pushing for more realism. He wanted to actually get hit, wanted to land real shots, thought it would look better on camera. The stunt coordinator tried to stop him, explained the dangers, but Martin was insistent. Tommy Hearns was a professional, knew how to pull punches, but in the chaos of filming with multiple cameras and takes, mistakes happened. Martin took a hard shot to the ribs that knocked the wind out of him. He waved off medical attention, insisted on continuing. Then a stuntman took a fall wrong during a crowd scene and dislocated his shoulder. Production paused while paramedics arrived. They resumed filming. Another stuntman caught an elbow during a background scuffle and needed stitches for a cut above his eye. By the third day, 3 stuntmen had been injured seriously enough to require hospital treatment. The insurance company got involved, threatened to shut down production. The stunt coordinator refused to continue without new safety protocols. The episode was delayed 2 weeks while people healed and new safety measures were implemented. When it finally aired, the boxing looked incredibly realistic, because it was. The blood, the pain, the exhaustion, all real, and everyone involved paid the price. Number 5. Writers quit because Martin rewrote. Everything on set.
No, Gina, all right? I ain't sleeping in no pinky ring. Off the head, cookies. I thought that. Hi, Gina.
Hey.
Me and Pam didn't come here together. We just happened to get in the same time back when...
The Martin Writers' Room was a revolving door. Talented comedy writers would sign on excited, ready to craft episodes for a hit show. Then they'd experience the Samstahi reality. They'd spend weeks breaking stories, crafting jokes, polishing scripts. They'd turn in what they thought was solid work. Then Martin would get the script and toss it aside. Not literally, but close enough. He'd keep the basic premise, maybe a few plot points, and improvise the rest during filming. Entire scenes would be rewritten on set. Jokes would be changed. Character motivations would shift. Writers would watch from Video Village, seeing their carefully crafted dialogue replaced with Martin's off-the-cuff improvisation. And here's the thing, Martin's version was usually funnier. His instincts were sharp, his timing perfect, his understanding of what audiences wanted better than what the writers had written. But that didn't make it less frustrating. Professional writers expect their work to matter, to be respected, to appear on screen. Martin treated scripts like rough drafts, suggestions rather than blueprints. Multiple writers quit within their first season, saying their work was pointless. Martin's response was simple. He knew these characters better than anyone. He knew what was funny, what would land, what audiences expected. He wasn't being disrespectful, he was making the show better, and the numbers proved him right. Episodes where he improvised heavily, consistently rated higher than episodes that stuck closer to script. The writers who survived were the ones who accepted their role. Write the framework, let Martin build the house. It wasn't traditional, but it worked. Number 4. The final season was filmed with Martin and Tisha, never in the same room.
Nap in your shoebox.
I bet y'all do got a lot to do. It must be hard trying to find...
By season 5, the relationship between Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell had deteriorated beyond repair. In January 1997, Campbell filed a lawsuit against Martin and HBO Independent Productions, alleging sexual harassment and abuse. The allegations were serious, detailed, and changed everything. Campbell refused to work directly with Martin anymore, wouldn't be in the same room with him, wouldn't film scenes together. But Fox had already announced season 5, had contracts in place, and canceling would cost millions, so they made it work through movie magic and careful planning. The production became a logistical nightmare. They filmed Martin and Gina's scenes on separate days. When they needed to appear together, they used stand-ins, body doubles, and strategic camera angles. Over-the-shoulder shots where you never saw both faces clearly. Split screens, scenes where one character talks while the other's back is to camera. The editing team worked overtime, creating the illusion of togetherness from footage shot days apart. Some episodes barely feature Gina at all, written to minimize her presence. Other episodes have Gina talking to Martin over the phone, through doors, or in separate locations. The cast and crew knew it was unsustainable. You can't film a show about a couple in love when the actors won't occupy the same space. The chemistry that made the show special in early seasons was completely gone, replaced by technical trickery and creative avoidance. Fans noticed something was off but didn't know why. The final season limped to its conclusion, and everyone knew there wouldn't be a season 6. You can't make television this way, and nobody wanted to anymore. Number 3. Fox wanted to fire Martin multiple times.
Oh, yes.
But say what you gotta say for I tell. What's happening?
I am not moving out. I'm moving in.
I like to communicate with the young folk and the older folk. Is that what it is? That what? That's right. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, this boy don't have no home.
Martin Lawrence was a nightmare employee by traditional standards. He showed up late constantly, sometimes hours after call time. He fought with producers, ignored notes from executives, rewrote scripts without permission. He created on-set tension through his conflicts with Tisha Campbell. He suffered a medical collapse that shut down production. He got himself banned from Saturday Night Live, creating negative publicity. His personal life made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Fox executives held meetings regularly discussing whether they should fire him, cut their losses, cancel the show. But every time they got close to pulling the trigger, they looked at the numbers. Martin was consistently in the top 10 rated shows. Thursday nights belonged to Martin Lawrence. The show was making Fox millions in advertising revenue, would make millions more in syndication. The demographics were perfect, young audiences that advertisers wanted. Firing Martin would mean canceling a cash cow, and executives couldn't justify that to shareholders. So they tolerated behavior they'd never accept from anyone else. Internal memos from that period, later leaked, showed the frustration. Executives calling Martin unprofessional, unreliable, a liability. But every complaint ended the same way, however. The ratings justify continued production. Martin knew he had leverage. As long as audiences watched, Fox couldn't touch him. He pushed boundaries because he could, tested how far his success could take him. The answer was pretty far. Fox swallowed their pride, cashed their checks, and dealt with the chaos. Because in television, ratings solve all problems, at least until they don't. Number 2. The show created a cultural phenomenon Fox didn't understand.
A lot about me.
Excuse me. Baby, we're just friends. Please don't.
Oh, no, baby. I'm not saying that. Gentlemen of the jury, my brother.
White executives at Fox never fully understood why Martin was so successful. They'd sit in screening rooms watching episodes, not laughing at jokes their black employees found hilarious. They didn't understand the cultural references, the slang, the rhythm of the comedy. To them, it was just loud people arguing in an apartment. But the ratings were undeniable. Young Black America had claimed Martin as their own, made it appointment television, quoted it endlessly. Fox executives couldn't predict what would work, couldn't explain why certain episodes resonated while others fell flat. They'd bring in consultants, try to analyze the success scientifically. Focus groups would explain the appeal, but executives still didn't get it on a gut level. They'd give notes that made no sense, suggest changes that would kill the humor. Martined. And his producers learned to nod, agree to everything, then ignore the notes completely. Because Fox didn't understand, they couldn't effectively interfere. As long as the show made money, the executives stayed out of the way. It created an unusual dynamic where Martin had more creative freedom than most showrunners because the network literally didn't know enough to micromanage effectively. The cultural impact was massive. Martin influenced fashion, language, comedy for an entire generation. Catchphrases entered the lexicon. Characters became Halloween costumes. The show wasn't just entertainment, it was a cultural touchstone that defined 90s black comedy. Fox executives just cashed checks, never fully understanding what they had. They knew it was valuable, knew audiences loved it, but they couldn't articulate why. Sometimes ignorance creates freedom. Fox's lack of cultural understanding meant Martin could be authentically black without interference from people who didn't get it. Number 1. The real reason the show ended was never publicly revealed.
This is Jackson's pipes, okay?
Well, I guess Mr. Jackson's gonna be glad to hear about the pipe work you doing. Hit it!
The official story about Martin's cancellation is simple. Scheduling conflicts, cast changes, natural end of the series. Tisha Campbell's lawsuit was settled. Everyone moved on. The show concluded after 5 successful seasons. But people close to the production tell a different story. The real reason Martin ended involves legal settlements, insurance claims, and allegations that Fox and Martin's team spent decades keeping quiet. The lawsuit Campbell filed wasn't just about harassment. It included detailed allegations about on-set behavior, hostile work environment, and specific incidents that made continuing impossible. The settlement was confidential, sealed with NDAs that still exist today. Fox paid Campbell a significant sum, but the terms included everyone staying silent about what actually happened. Insurance companies were involved because the production had liability coverage that kicked in when the lawsuit was filed. Those insurance settlements also came with confidentiality agreements. Multiple people signed NDAs, from cast members to crew to network executives. What actually ended Martin, the specific incidents and behaviors that made Season 5 impossible and Season 6 unthinkable, that truth is locked behind legal documents. Occasionally, someone close to the production will hint at things in interviews, then catch themselves and stop talking. Others refuse to discuss it entirely, citing legal reasons. Martin Lawrence has never publicly addressed the specifics beyond general statements about growth and learning from mistakes. Tisha Campbell has been slightly more open, but still respects the NDA. The truth exists in legal files, in sealed court documents, in memories of people who can't legally speak, and it will probably stay there, because sometimes the real story is too messy, too complicated, too legally dangerous to ever tell. The show ended. Everyone got paid to stay quiet, and the secret stayed secret. Martin didn't follow the rules. It rewrote scripts on set, survived conflicts that should have killed it, and ended for reasons still buried in NDAs. Because sometimes the funniest shows hide the darkest truths.